Alrighty, we're just going to go ahead and skip the 30-second countdown because I know you guys are all ready to rock and roll. We are here for the next episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I am your host, Louis Sung, and joining me, as always, is my good friend, Ronald Caniff, who apparently had a run-in with some issues. Go ahead and tell me what's going on, Ron.
Oh, what with my arm?
Mm-hmm.
Helping somebody move, picked up something too heavy. Rupture. I have a sports injury. Ruptured completely my bicep tendon. Peeled it off the bone, and now I have to have surgery. I just found out like a couple hours ago. So good times.
Yeah, good times, man. I'm sorry about all that. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with this stuff, but
I'll still be here to do the show. I'm committed.
Yes, that's what I was saying. I was just saying, it was like, I'm really appreciative that you still managed to get on in here and you're still managing to do all the stuff that we got to do. It's greatly appreciated that you are here. So we're going to go into all of the things that's been going on Dolphins Twitter over the past few days. And I also want to highlight at least one comment that was made by a certain NFL player regarding what happened this past Sunday. But before we get too far into that, I'm just going to go ahead and say a big thank you to our sponsor, Thrive Fantasy. So if you are somebody like me who wants to get into the world of fantasy sports but is not sure on how to do it the best way, not sure what the best choices are to make, then that's where Thrive Fantasy steps in to make things 100 times easier. All you have to do is focus on the top tier athletes. So if you know their name, they're going to be on there, and you'll be able to choose 10 out of the available 20 players to build your lineup. Each prop is assigned a value for the over and the under on how likely it is to occur. And if you can hit the most props and rack up the most points, you'll win a share of the prize pool based on how well you do. It has over 140,000 guaranteed in prizes just for this past week one. There's going to be more stuff available as the year goes on, and it's awarded over $4 million in prize money overall. And the 100,000 guaranteed contest is only $20 to enter, and the first place winner takes $20,000 home with them. So all you got to do is, even if you don't get the most points out of all of them, you still have a really good shot at least getting something back. At the very, very least, you're likely to at least make your money back. So there's no real way you can lose. The only way you can really lose is that is every single thing goes wrong for you. So make sure that you go ahead and get on to thrivefantasy.com. You can use the promo code in the app, or you can just go ahead and check out the link in the description below. Go ahead and get started and get winning today. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump on to all this other stuff that we got going on here. So just real quick, Zachary Allen, how you guys doing? I'm doing well. Ron's not doing quite as well, but we've already...
Hey, you know what? If somebody told me you're going to rupture your biceps tendon, but the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl, take all my biceps.
Oh no,
I'll just T-Rex it for a season and celebrate the Super Bowl like, we won.
I'm not into the self-naming stuff, bro. That's not my thing. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there. That's all.
No, I understand. So
I want to show everybody my commitment to this team. That has hurt me more than it's made me feel good. But lately, I think we're on the right track anyway.
Well, hopefully that is the case. We're going to go ahead and jump right into some stuff here. So, of course, I went on Twitter and I asked you guys, all right, tell me what's on your minds, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what I went ahead and did. And I'm just going to go ahead and break down a few of the comments that were left here. So I'm just going to scroll down here. What's the very first one? Oh, it's our good friend Mike Epps, 69 NFL. You may know him as the man who puts ketchup on his steak. I don't like that at all whatsoever. It's not cool, and he should stop doing it because it's blasphemy. But he says very simply, we're on to Buffalo.
Okay, I guess. I mean, I thought we were here talking about the Patriots. So we'll be on to Buffalo tomorrow.
No, we are going to be talking about the Patriots. So Greenview Construction at Crispy Chicken 30. Happy we got a win, a road win, first game win, division win against Belichick. Alabama versus Alabama QB win. Now tighten up some stuff so we can get win number 2.
Okay. Yes, we have to tighten up quite a few things to get win number 2. But it's interesting, the New England game. It went how I pretty much said it would go. It just didn't end up with the same result, right? I just thought that the Patriots would beat us. But I mean, they did to us exactly what I thought they did to us. Obviously, if I knew, then Brian Flores knew. But I think we kind of let them have what we gave them the short stuff pretty much. You know what I mean? But we do have a lot of stuff to tighten up. We're not going to be able to give Buffalo much because Josh Allen he gets up to play Miami, man.
So what do you think more than anything needs to be tightened up? And we will be going into that because people have been asking that. Like, we need to tighten up this and this and that.
We got to execute on offense better. I mean, I don't know how much better we could execute on defense, but we got to execute on offense better. I think that's no 3 and outs. We can't have 3 and outs. We got to sustain drives. We can't give up running the ball. I thought we ran the ball successfully when we tried, but many times they decided to go, let's just throw, and that wasn't as successful. Whenever we just tried to go back and just throw the ball and not really run it, we weren't as successful as when we mixed it up. The 2 drives where we had success, we were mixing up the run and the pass very nicely.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was really complaining about is that it felt like the offense was not moving as well as it could have, because and this is something I said in the post-game show, is that I don't understand why they went away from what was working. I understand that the first drive of the game is always scripted. I get that. They basically have this little game plan. We're going to run this play, this play, this play, this play, and this play. And apparently it works really well. But if that's the case, I'm just thinking to myself, like, why don't we just do that stuff that was on the scripted plays more often? Why don't you do those little slants? Why don't you have those underneath routes? It's not like, I can't imagine that the scheme is so impossible to replicate that nobody's been able to accomplish it. All they do is basically is if someone's coming for you on a blitz, you just have a little dump off right there and they run for yards there. I don't get it.
I've said this as far as the New England's offense. I've said this now for a few years. I think I started saying this after we after we hired and then surreptitiously, that's not the right word, surreptitiously fired Chad O'Shea, because we brought him on there to try and run a New England offense. Even New England can't run the New England offense without just the right cup of brew. So obviously, number one, if you don't have Josh McDaniels the one calling the plays, forget it. Stop trying to run New England's offense. He's really like the only one that's ever had success doing it. But even himself won't have success without the right running backs that have all their own different set of skills, the right tight ends. Because haven't we seen? We saw what New England's offense looked like without 2 good tight ends. Doesn't work. Right. It simply doesn't work without the right slot receiver that they had to go. So they went out and got 2 new tight ends, a slot receiver, right? You have to have a good offensive line. If you have a bad offensive line, it doesn't work, because if you can't run the ball, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because you can't set up what you want to set up without being able to run the ball. And then obviously you have to have a quarterback that can run it. It almost seems like, I won't say the quarterback is the least important part of that. It is obviously important. But without all just the right pieces and then the right person, Josh McDaniels calling the plays the right way, forget trying to take New England's offense and duplicate it anywhere. It's not possible. We have seen head coaches try. We've seen coordinators try. We've seen even Josh McDaniels go out and try. And he didn't have the right quarterback. He didn't have the tight ends. He didn't have the running backs. He couldn't do it. He couldn't duplicate his own offense on another team. And even New England has struggled from time to time running their own offense because they didn't have the players. That's why Bill Belichick just went out and said, screw it. We're going to go get the tight ends. We're going to go get the slot cornerbacks. We had our slot receiver. They had the running backs really already with White, Harris, Stevenson. It's just, it takes a certain everything being perfect, a perfect scenario to run that successfully. I mean, and in the end, even though we're a really good defense, they had 1 touchdown. And it was on a bull crap play, a bull crap penalty. That was the only touchdown they even had against us. So we did well. But as far as everybody going out, let's just go run New England's offense. No one's ever going to be able to do that but New England, in my opinion. And you need Josh McDaniels there too. I don't think Bill Belichick could run that offense. He couldn't call the plays. He needs Josh McDaniels there.
All right, fair enough. All right, so let's go ahead and keep this rolling here. All right, so this is from Savvy Prince. Once the offensive line gets together, our offense will put up points on.
Hey, Lewis, I think you're muted, sir.
Oh, I know what happened. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
A little bit there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll before I cut out here.
Yeah. Okay. Just could you reread that tweet for me if you don't mind?
Oh, so I didn't even get that part of it. Okay, great.
No.
All right. So yeah, basically once the offensive line gets together, our offense will put up points. On defense, we got to stop the run. Other than that, we'll make a good run in the playoffs. That is from Savvy Prince. So again, that's what I was saying, is that basically that's kind of the key of it, isn't it? The offensive line needs to get together if there's going to be any hope of making it very far in this season. You need that offensive line to be functioning. And the funny thing about it all is that Chris Kaufman and Alfredo Arteaga both did their little film breakdown off the hidden all 22 that the all Game Pass is hiding from us. Shh, they don't want us to know that it's there. They don't want us to have it. But anyway, that's besides the point. It's kind of funny that they're basically saying the offensive line was not as bad as it looked.
Yes.
That it was actually better than what anybody thought it was, which kind of makes it interesting, because if that's the case, then that means, are we really as far away from actually having a functioning offensive line than we think? Like, there were still really bad mistakes. Don't misunderstand me.
Yeah,
like
they were mistakes though.
Yeah.
Like, there really wasn't too many situations where you just had our offensive lineman do exactly what he's supposed to do, but just get manhandled. That didn't really happen. You saw Eichenberg get tripped by Kenley when he got bowled over. You saw Gaskin try and block Judon as if he was an offensive lineman. That definitely didn't work. You saw Robert Hunt run the wrong way on a pull. So that's obviously just a mental error there. I mean, there were mental errors. There were mistakes schematically, but they're right. There really was very little time where any of those guys just got ran over. And Ike, I mean, yes, he's a left tackle by trade, I suppose, but it was the first time he's really playing any left tackle for us. Obviously, he didn't do that in the preseason. He didn't really do it through most of the camp. I'm imagining now that AJ's back fully, they'll put AJ and Austin Jackson back to the left and Eichenberg on the right tackle. Probably the worst offensive lineman was Jesse Davis. He was the one that struggled the most. So I think we're about to see against Buffalo 5 linemen all drafted by us in the last 3 years, right? And Austin Jackson, Kenley, Dieter, who was drafted 3 years ago, Hunt, and Eichenberg. I think that's going to be our offensive line, and I don't hate it. I know that there's going to be work to be done there, and they're not going to be perfect, but I think the mistakes they made are mistakes they can clean up and get better at. There wasn't a lot of issues with them just getting manhandled. That didn't really happen, and that's what's most encouraging. Although there's work to be done, that's what's most encouraging.
I can agree with that. All right. So we're going to go over to the next one here. This one comes from Chris Draws. So that's a game that we lost 100% of the time for the last 20 years. If you can't be happy to go into Foxborough week and 1 and leave with a win, then you don't actually get enjoyment from football. So I don't know if I go that far into it, but I mean,
I agree. How can you be a Dolphins fan and not love us getting a win?
I almost feel like that this is like I'm sure that this is not intentionally aimed at me specifically, but it kind of does feel like it's talking to me, because I was the person who was on the post-game show and I was basically saying, like, listen, yeah, we won, but it wasn't pretty. There was a lot. Like, this is the same thing. I remember that I got hammered for it, and I brought this up on the post-game show too. I got hammered for it several years ago when the Ryan Fitzpatrick-led New York Jets just barely screwed up enough that the Miami Dolphins were able to come away with the win. Do you remember that game?
Yes.
So, like, it was just a battle of attrition. Like, who could screw up the most and somehow come away with victory in spite of their best efforts? So, and I remember that game, and I remember saying, listen, they won, but this was like one of the worst performances I have ever seen from this team. And people got mad at me for it, like you wouldn't believe.
I'm going to read off some stats, some quick stats to you. This is last year, a year that probably I'd say New England didn't really even have a great team or a great defense. Last year, Lamar Jackson, 24 of 34, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. It's a decent game, right? Mm-hmm. Kyler Murray, 23 of 34, 170 yards, and a pick. Josh Allen, 11 of 18, 154 yards, and a pick. Patrick Mahomes, 19 of 29, 236 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's a decent game for Mahomes. It's very, pedestrian. Tua yesterday or Sunday, 16 of 27, 202 yards, a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown and 1 pick. I mean, this is what New England does to good quarterbacks. folks. This is what they do. They ugly up games. They keep it close. They know how to scheme and plan against quarterbacks. They scheme and plan against quarterbacks. That's what they do. They want to take away whatever it is they do good. They want to take that away, and they're pretty good at doing it. Bill Belichick is really good at scheming against quarterbacks. Quarterbacks go into New England, and they have average to bad games. Even really good quarterbacks sometimes do. I mean, Josh Allen had an almost MVP season last year. I mean, he really didn't do well against New England. So, I mean, it's just par for the course. Let's see what the rest of the year brings. But that's the kind, especially now you get Flores and Belichick facing each other. I mean, come on, those guys are like two peas in a pod in a way, and the way they scheme and the way they think. I mean, Flores grew up in New England working for Bill Belichick. He's done it all. He's done passing offense. He's done obviously defensive stuff with him, etc. I mean, I just nothing to complain about getting a win in New England. I love it. I'll take it.
No, I get it. I really do. I understand what you're saying. I cannot get over, and this has always been a thing for me. This has always been something that I struggle with, is that if I see the team perform badly, then my brain immediately defaults to what needs to be fixed, not so much like
you and the coaching staff too.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking to myself. I don't think Belichick is like giving everybody high fives. Oh yeah, we did it, guys. Woo. It's like, no, there's like, okay, this went wrong. This went wrong. This went wrong. Let's get to work for next week. And I don't feel like that we deserve to be necessarily criticized for saying that, yeah, we won and that's great. But
what is it that Russell did? I don't know if you watched the Monday Night Football game. Did you watch it?
I did not get a chance to watch a lot of it.
I watched the Manning telecast version, and they had Russell Wilson on there. And Russell Wilson said every single Monday after the game, win or lose, is called Tell the Truth Monday, where it's just, here it is all on film, and here's what you did good and bad. And that's what the Miami Dolphins will go do. I mean, it obviously wasn't a perfect game, or they'd have won 50-0. Right. But we got the win, and it is so tough to get a win in New England, especially when New England had so long to scheme against Tua and what he does well. They had forever to prepare, and they had Perry go over there, Malcolm Perry go over there, and give them little hints and tips, which I've always said is anytime that happens, it's way overblown.
Alfredo Arteaga actually thinks like he actually gave up this conspiracy theory that he thinks that like Perry practically handed them the playbook.
Well, I don't think the playbook's as important as the plan and the scheme for one. But and Perry didn't see any of that because none of that happened until after he was gone. So, but I think that's always overblown, I just don't think the advantage is as big as people think. However, I'm sure there is some advantage to it. So considering all that, we still got to win. We really did. So I'm going to take it. We're going to take that win. And as Mike said, catch up on his steak, Mike. We're on to Buffalo. As far as that goes, complaining about a win, I just can't do it. Not in New England. As bad as we've been against them for 20 years.
Yeah, I'm not like, let me rephrase. I'm not complaining about the win. I'm complaining about the performance.
I think a lot of people had a higher expectation of what this game was going to look like.
I had very high expectations.
But I didn't. See? That's the difference.
Okay,
I knew what it was going to look like.
I
was expecting them to lose, but the game went how I thought it would go. It was just lower scoring than I thought it would be. I thought we'd be able to score a bit more, and they'd be able to score a bit more. Beyond that game, what New England did is exactly what I thought. I really didn't know what Miami was going to do. And I kept saying that. I don't know what Miami's going to do, but I know what New England's going to do. And they did just that, but we still got to win. So,
that's the crazy thing, Ron. We all know that what New England's going to do on a weekly basis, like every single time, and yet nobody can ever stop it. Like they know what's going to happen.
That's why it works. That's why Josh McDaniels is such a great offensive coordinator.
All right. So I'm going to take a quick break from the comments that I left in my thread because I wanted to react to this as well. And this was something that I've never seen such a, like, I'm not going to say the word violent because it wasn't really violent, but just I'm going to say a crazy, extreme reaction to what the loss was. And this comes from the New England Patriots cornerback J.C. Jackson immediately after the game. The tweet itself comes from Andrew Callahan that said that J.C. Jackson doesn't sound too impressed with Tua Tagovailoa. When asked about Tua's interception, Jackson said, "That's what Tua do. If he doesn't have his first read, he's just going to throw the ball up." So
sour grapes because Tua's 2-0 against that defense.
like
Sour grapes, whatever.
Like, oh my God, man!
Whatever.
I can't. It's hard to believe that people like this guy. Usually, they always have the football talk and whatever. It's like, oh well, Tua's a good quarterback, and like even if they don't mean it, they still say it because they're supposed to say it that way. But no, this guy's just like, no, Tua's a terrible quarterback, and I'm pissed off we lost because we shouldn't have.
Exactly, it's just sour grapes.
Like
what it is.
But I didn't see that coming.
DVP was freaking.
Oh no, he mossed him just like
he was flexing him and mossing him all day. So whatever, he's just pissed that he got owned the entire game by DVP, and that Tua kept getting the ball to DVP over Jackson. I mind you, he was getting crushed, and he was just sour. He was just poor loser. I mean, simple as that. Poor loser.
Poor loser is right. Speaking of Devontae Parker, from our very own Juan Cardona from the 5 Reasons Sports Network, DVP is wide receiver 1. So I feel like I know why this comment is being made. It's because I kept talking about how Devontae Parker would get the most in a trade. Again, I'm going to say one more time, I never said we should trade Parker, only that he would get the most in trade value. But it's kind of surprising that so far, Tua's best target seems to be Devontae Parker. I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that. I expected much more for Waddle to be involved as opposed to Parker. But it seems that with the way that the New England Patriots were playing Tua, his best option really was Parker throughout the day because he's the guy who can fight for the ball.
I think what it is, and I do the same thing. So this isn't me, telling you guys, oh, this is where you guys have it wrong. This is where I get it wrong all the time too with Parker. He's so often injured. He plays a lot through the injury, but he's not necessarily his best while he's injured. When we get a healthy Parker who isn't injured, we just see a completely different dominant guy. We're just so used to not seeing that because he just suffered through so many different issues and injuries over his career that when it happens, we forget just how talented that guy is. He is absolutely wide receiver 1 material. No doubt about it. It's just hard to see it because it's so inconsistent due to the injury. But when this guy is completely healthy, he's one of the best in the league. He is. He really is. And he is wide receiver 1 on this team till further notice, till either Fuller or Waddle take those reins, or DVP gets hurt again. I hate to say it, but one or the other. But until then, he is. He's wide receiver 1. I always forget sometimes how talented he is because a lot of last year he was playing hurt. He was playing, but he was just playing, barely getting in there. And not say barely getting in there, but he wasn't himself. He definitely wasn't 100%. A 100% DVP is very hard to stop. It really is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. So now I'm going to go into this next one here. This one from Could This Be the Year? I was concerned with the hurry up because the only thing that happened was it hurried the D back onto the field. I also am concerned with a rookie quarterback showing more than the Finns QB. I loved Waddle, and I'm excited to watch what he does every week. So are you worried about the hurry up offense and what happened? And also, are you concerned that Mac Jones technically looked better than Tua on Sunday?
To the untrained eye, my man. To the untrained eye only. No, I'm just kidding. I'm no X's and O's expert.
No, but Alfredo is.
But,
and he happens to be in there making fun of me over the Devontae Parker stuff. Yeah, I see you, Alfredo. Uh-huh.
Yeah. All I could say about Tua versus Mac Jones is Mac Jones was given a certain part of the field to throw the ball in. We gave it to them. That's what they wanted to do anyway. The majority, if you saw his passing targets, majority of his passes were 5 to 6 yards and in. Yes, you're going to complete a lot of those passes. I would say in the second half, it became harder to stop for some reason. Thank you, Xavier Howard, for a big play, but that's what
MVP.
The Dolphins do. Yep, that's what the Dolphins do. That's what they did all last year. It's not coincidence that big players on our defense made big plays. That's just how the Dolphins roll. But Mac Jones took very little shots downfield and wasn't very successful with it. I think a lot of it was they played, and I had commented this right towards the end of the first half, so it's not just because I heard a bunch of people say it. I was like, why are they playing so much zone? We're not, we don't normally play zone. We normally play man. Why are we playing so much zone? And then my thought was they probably were thinking they could confuse Mac Jones. and just confuse them once or twice, just enough to get some easy picks. And it didn't happen, so they kind of had to switch to a more man defense, which I think gave him even more of that short stuff. And why he was starting to have more success against it. But we kept him from scoring a touchdown every time but once on the BS call. So again, we could say Mac Jones had all this success and looked quote unquote better, but in the end, they scored one touchdown on a BS call. If they had not called that crappy, whatever it was, hitting the quarterback low, they don't get any touchdowns in this game. So we can sit there and say Mac Jones looks so much better. He scored one touchdown after a BS call. That's it. That's all that happened. So let's have a little perspective on Mac Jones versus Tua. Tua was throwing the ball down the field. He was the 6th most aggressive quarterback, right? And that aggressiveness isn't just about how far down you throw it, but how tight of window you're throwing it into. I mean, he took plenty of shots downfield and had many successful ones, 20 plus, 30 yards. I disagree that Mac Jones looked worlds better than Tua. It was just two different games, really. We let Mac Jones have that stuff, and we'll see how
Mac's job was easier than Tua's.
It was, and it needed to be. I mean, the guy's a rookie playing against a really good defense. If New England had gone in and asked him to start throwing the ball all down the field, that would have been really dumb. And,
that goes against their whole philosophy anyway. So
it goes against what they do anyway. Exactly. So there you go. So we'll see how the season goes. I expect New England to be a good team and to have success, and I expect Mac Jones to be a pretty good quarterback. I expect that.
All right, so it's going to be tough in the East for a little bit. All right, from Zachary Allen in the comment box. But now that our receiving core is so deep, if Devontae Parker, does get hurt, he can sit down and rest up to 100 again, and we won't have much of an issue. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that specifically, because the assumption, again, I am the one who was saying that I think Mac Hollins can do Devontae Parker's job. But if you have somebody like Parker and he is available, there is going to be some level of drop-off, at least at first. Because I like Mac Hollins. I like what he does. But there's a reason Parker is the starter and Mac Hollins is not.
Agreed.
I'm not.
Mac Hollins is the replacement, but he's not as talented as a healthy Devontae Parker.
And by the way, the same goes for Preston Williams. If anybody could have even a shot at replacing him 1-to-1, it's Williams. But he has the same problem that Parker does. He's never available. He's always hurt. Like, he wasn't even... I don't even think he was active previous game. He wasn't even active, and I think there's a reason for that. Is because he's not ready to play yet. So
I'm wondering too, with them bringing Fuller back. I don't know. Maybe I've missed that. I mean, I know that Raekwon Davis be available. I'm sure. Yeah, I know that Raekwon Davis went to IR.
Yes.
So does that mean they're just? So is that the trade off? Like, I'm not sure if that's going to be the roster trade off there, or if they were going to go ahead and put Williams on maybe IR as well to bring on Fuller.
My bet is they bring up Jabal Sheard.
Yeah, but that means then you're bringing on Fuller too. Someone else is going to have to go to IR.
You're right. Yeah, that's right. Will Fuller. Yes.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their plan is there and what they're going to do.
You're probably right. It's probably going to be Will Fuller that they're going to get on there because now he's going to be active again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm really not sure what the plan is there.
All right. So next one. So this is from Rob Hubbard. A win is a win. However, the lack of pass rush generated was apparent and is something to monitor. So the idea that we had no pass rush. See, this is the problem. I think what people are defining as pass rush is how many times did we actually sack the guy. And we didn't sack. We got one sack on Mac Jones. It was Christian Wilkins. He got credited with a sack. And it's not that there was no pass rush. It's that the pass rush did not come from 3 or 4 rushers.
Yeah, but mostly from the blitz.
It's coming mostly from the blitz. And when you leave the blitz open like that,
second half. Yeah.
Right. And when you blitz, there's somebody open, and Mac was able to find him.
He handled it well. I mean, he handled us blitzing very well for a first-game rookie. It was impressive.
So it was just a situation where, and it's not like there wasn't guys in his face. Jalen Phillips, by the way, everybody's saying, "Where's Jalen Phillips? He's invisible. He's not doing it." Yes,
that's
he was.
Not true. That's not true at all. He made his presence felt, and we and also I will say this year, last year, I recall at the beginning of the season us feeling like the same thing. Oh, we're not getting to the quarterback. We're not getting to the quarterback.
But we are not sacking the quarterback.
But then all of a sudden, as the season went on, I saw us starting to get to the quarterback more and more and more, and felt that pressure more and more as our defense started to ramp up. Just give it time. It's the first game. We'll get it going. We got guys that can get to the quarterback. We really do, and we'll definitely scheme a lot of that as well. I just don't know what we do about Josh Allen. That's a different animal. Well, he really plays us so well. I'm not concerned about that game. I don't know if my point will be really made week 2, but I think as the season goes on, we'll see that we'll get plenty of pressure on the quarterback, and there was plenty of pressure on the quarterback this time too. It's just that
Emmanuel Ogbah was there all the time.
Roberts, of course, he was throwing to getting rid of the ball so quick too. So quick. Any quarterbacks that have to let routes develop longer will struggle against Miami, because we're not going to let them sit back there and let those routes develop. Even Josh Allen, but the problem with Josh Allen is he's just so good at escaping and getting out and running, and then throwing outside of the pocket. Not just running, but getting out of the pocket and throwing as well. He's super elite and dangerous with that. What makes it harder against Allen? If Allen was a pocket passer, had to just let everything develop, we would get to him plenty. It's just a different animal there.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I know you got to get going soon, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll finish up with this last one here. So I just wanted to highlight this because I think it's funny. This one is from the Naked Isaiah. New England fans are as bad as Jets fans. They are delusional.
They're not as delusional as Jets fans. But I think we talked about this last week. Didn't we talk about the Jets fans?
Yes, because there was a Jets fan in the chat.
They really thought their team was just going to be so good. I'm just not sure what they saw, like why or what it was. I'm like, am I missing something? Am I not noticing something? But yeah, they went and lost to Sam Darnold, which is hilarious.
That's the fun. Yeah, Sam Darnold went in there and was like, "Oh, you replaced me with this kid, huh? Watch this."
Yeah, exactly. But
hashtag Adam Gase effect.
Why I'll say that New England's fans aren't as delusional. They're delusional in the fact that they think that Mac Jones is instantly now Tom Brady because they think Bill Belichick just makes quarterbacks into Tom Brady. Number one, no. Number two, no, Mac Jones is not Tom Brady, and I'd be willing to bet money he'll never be as good as Tom Brady, whatever you want to bet, because that's not going to happen. So that's where they're delusional. However, they do have a much better team than the Jets. So they're not delusional in the fact that they're going to be good this year, and they could be a playoff team this year. But they're, Jets fans. I don't know what y'all are thinking. I mean, you guys are one of the bottom 4 teams in the league, and it's just that simple. And you just had Adam Gase for 2 years. You're expected to be a bottom team. It takes a lot of work to recover from Adam Gase. He's like a hurricane that goes into a city. It's not up and running the next day. It takes work. You got to rebuild. Mm-hmm. So the Jets have a lot of work ahead of them. Hopefully they have the right people in there getting it done. I know they really stripped down their roster. Much similar to kind of how we did, really stripped down their roster as well. So, which is the right move, because Adam Gase, he's just trying to plug a bunch of holes. He's just got his finger in the dam, trying to plug the holes. That's just how that guy built a roster. So when you go in, you really want to do it right. You have to pretty much get rid of a lot of what he had.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I know we got to get going because I know you've got stuff to do. So do I. So thank you for joining me, my friend. It's always appreciated. I hope that everything goes well with your arm.
Oh, yeah. Surgery next week. So it's more invasive than I thought. It's not like an arthroscopic thing. Like they actually have to cut into the forearm from side to side and get in there. So, and I'll be in this next time you see me, I'll be in this weird kind of contraption for a while.
I mean, hey, listen, whatever you got to do to get better, man. Like this, whenever we see a player on the hurt and they're going, ooh, and then they get up 5 minutes later, I guess Ron kind of has some kind of personal experience now. It's like, no, these guys can move, but it's like they're still hurting. They can't go back in there and play just because they're walking off the field.
Very true.
All right. So thank you all so much for joining us. And again, thank you to Thrive Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. We'll try to be back next week after the Buffalo Bills, hopefully after another victory. I apologize for the timing of this episode. The schedule, we know our personal schedules is all difficult and stuff. Zachary wants to know if we brought up Raekwon Davis being on IR. We did very briefly mention it.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
that sucks. That sucks because
yeah.
Even if he comes back in 3 or 4 weeks, I have a feeling it's going to take him well into the season. Well, he'll be ready. Hopefully, he'll be ready for the playoff run.
I mean, I think he'll come back sooner. I really do.
He'll come back sooner. I just wonder when he'll get back to kind of full form. We really don't even know what Raekwon Davis full form looks like yet.
Yeah,
I mean, this was the year I was expecting to see him dominate. I was really expecting to see Raekwon Davis dominate. I expect him to be a Pro Bowler, and that might hamper that a little now, unfortunately. Yep. But hopefully by midseason, he'll be raring to go and doing whatever it is or was he was.
He was raring to go during the game. Like you saw him on the sideline. He was like,
they wouldn't let him back in.
I just keep thinking back to the car from the movie Cars. Don't take me out, coach. I can still run. And he's just kind of like falling to pieces.
Exactly.
Like he wanted back in there something fierce. So, all right. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. We will see you all next time for another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. Just keep reading, keep going and do those comments. I will be in there and I will be commenting with you guys. All right. Have a good day.